So here to answer it. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. I'm just going to keep working and checking for comments here. Well, somebody's watching. 3 people are watching. Go ahead and type a question if you have one. I'm just here to answer questions. So, hotel party goes on sale in an hour. I think we've explained things, but then people will ask a question. It's like, oh, okay, we didn't explain that. We didn't explain that well enough or enough times or whatever. So feel free to ask something. In fact, I'm going to write that in the description now. Just encouraging people to type their questions below. I am muted. I'm so sorry about that. Should have volume now. But anyway, we finally have a question, and I appreciate the question. Are the two king rooms the same size? Yes, they are. The only difference is one of them has a couch, and the other one has basically a chase lounge. But they're essentially the same size. There was one suite in the hotel. It wasn't really like a massive suite. It's not like something the president would stay in or something like that. It's a Holiday Inn. Um, but there was one suite, and it's spoken for. It was actually the couple who won the room crawl last time. See, first time we did a room crawl, a lot of people wanted to participate as room crawl hosts. The second time, it was a little more difficult because I think people found out that it was a lot of work. And while people decorating the rooms, I'm just assuming that they don't. Um, I think they just didn't want quite go as all out. And of course, you don't have to go all out to be a room crawl. You could not even decorate at all. Really, you could just open up your room. But anyway, we had a hard time getting people to do the room crawl last time, so we ended up having to do give away prizes. Like if you participated at all, you got first dibs on the rooms this time after platinum. So actually, all of those people have already had the opportunity to buy their room. And then if you won the room crawl, then I think you got very first choice. And so they ended up. Yeah, sorry, Jaron. Can you hear now? If not, I'll try to fix it. Sorry about that. Live streams are always questionable at best, especially if you don't do them very often like me. Sound input. Looks like my mic's working, so should be working okay. But yeah, bottom line is they're the same size, and really the queen rooms are the same size as well. They're just configured differently. If somebody can let me know if they can hear me, that'd be awesome. I'm a little concerned about that now. Thank you for the other question. The other question is how many rooms are up for grabs at noon? There were 70 about a week ago. There's probably like 65 or something like that. Platinum's got a jump on everybody else, but I know that some platinums just bought their room a couple of days ago. So I would guess that there's 65 or so. Ashley knows for sure, but it's right there, 70, 60, something like that. Ashley's taking care of all of that. And which is really good because the last 3 hotel takeovers, the hotel oversold our rooms all 3 times. Now, you would think they have very sophisticated software. They'd be able to do that, but I guess they can't. So thank you. I really appreciate letting me know you can hear me. So it's nice knowing that Ashley's in charge of this and it will not be oversold. And we really hope this doesn't happen, but if there is just something fundamentally wrong with your room, let's say your water doesn't work or something like that, then we're going to trade you a playroom for the room that you bought. And the playrooms are all double queens. So if you have a king, but your room just really kind of sucks for some reason, it's unlivable, then we're gonna give you one of the playrooms. But you might end up going from a king to a double queen. But I hope you understand that when the rooms cost this much, we just can't have, like 15 setting aside for emergencies. We have 4 that are playrooms, / if something's wrong with somebody's room. And then we have a conference room where we're going to have 8 beds. And I just bought about $1,500 worth of additional lighting for it. And so it's really cool. Oh, a couple people are watching or commenting right on YouTube, so that's cool. Are the playrooms on different floors? You know what? I don't know. I really don't know. I kind of think they're all together. Ashley knows for sure, and I'm sorry about that. That seems like something that I should know, but I mostly left it up to Carlos. Well, I did leave it up to Carlos and Ashley. Especially Ashley. She's super detail oriented, and she's exactly the person you would want booking all of these rooms. So sorry, I don't particularly know the answer to that, but I think that they're all literally side by side and on the same floor. Ah, Ashley answered. They're all on the first and second floor. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Anyway, I bought a bunch of lighting for that conference room. It's going to look super great. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what mattresses to get. There are some very inexpensive mattresses online. Um, but until you see them or feel them, you don't really know what they're going to be like. So we're going to rent a permanent storage locker in the suburbs here and put 8 of those beds in there that we're going to buy new, and just keep them in there and store them in there along with some lighting and like the glory hole and that kind of stuff. That stuff's all been stored at my house so far, except for those beds, which we don't yet own. Now, it might make sense to go buy used mattresses, but used mattresses, although we're going to use them for a swinger party, used mattresses are still kind of gross to me. And I think having them be consistent would be nice. That way, they all look the same when they're sitting out. And hopefully, this is the first of dozens of hotel parties to come, and so we'll all get our money's worth out of them. So while there are 4 playrooms, I don't know how much use they're going to get, because we're going to have, for the first time ever, this really cool playroom with eight beds in it, lit really well, some music, stuff like that. And there's some other things with that too, which I'll tell you guys later. I don't think it would make the difference between you buying or not, so I'll save some details for a little bit later. We got to have something to talk about for the next 2 months. Will the glory hole be at the hotel? Yeah, I think so. So with the glory hole, half the fun is having it situated in a way that you can't tell who's on the inside or who's on the outside. And that's not always true. But even at the club, over just kind of where it is by that pool and in the corner, and it's dark and people are coming and going, you typically don't know who's in it unless you walk around and look, which you're really not supposed to do. So we're going to try to have it at the hotel. I think it's a lot of fun, but I'm not sure exactly where to set it up yet. Because if you just put it imagine you just set it up in the middle of a hallway. Well, you would know who was in it. And that takes away from the fun. The whole point is that it's anonymous. And I feel like this question's probably coming because it pops up every single time. So, and I have nothing else to do here for a while but talk. So I'll just keep talking about it. I'll go back to the glory hole in a second, but will you be able to push those 8 beds together for an all girl orgy? No, the beds are going to be separate and they'll stay that way. I'm so glad that you guys do the all girl orgy and stuff like that. But having an organized event that basically takes over the entire playrooms for the big group playroom for the hotel is a little bit of an issue. So no, the beds will stay together, but there are some other playrooms certainly available. All right, back to the glory hole. People always ask, why aren't the women on the or whoever wants to give head on the outside? That way, everyone can watch them. Well, if women were on the outside, or whoever wants to give a blowjob is on the outside, it's been all women so far as I know. But like half the group of YCP are bisexual males, and by all means, if that's what you want to do, then I think it's super cool, and you should use the glory hole as well. But if they're on the outside, then they're always going to be able to see who's walking around the side and getting in the box to get their dick sucked. And while people can always leave the situation, I've just always imagined like somebody walking in there and everybody seeing them, and then everybody just stepping away, if that makes sense. I just feel like that not only takes away the anonymous factor, but it could really, hurt someone's feelings. Plus, I don't know that you should be able to just stand around and watch people give head. I think you should just participate if you want to experience the glory hole. So that's why it's always been set up the way it is I think that reversing it would take away from the anonymous factor, and would just introduce a lot of gawking, and there's plenty of opportunities to watch people at events with the movie screen and stuff like that. Okay, question. If you buy just tickets now and there are rooms left later, can you upgrade to a room or would you have to buy the whole room package? That is a good question. Ashley, you speak up. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that, but let's not call that a definitive answer. I'd like to get confirmation from Ashley on that. I don't want to screw her world up, and she's the one dealing with all of this, so I want to be really respectful of that. But I don't know why that would be a problem. Now, we suspect that these rooms are going to sell out really quickly. At least we hope so, because of course we've paid tens of thousands of dollars for these rooms, so we hope we're not stuck with like 8 grand of them. But we'll see. um, we will see in just a little bit. But people can cancel their room if Ashley can find another buyer. So Neil, it basically works like this: if somebody a week before the party says, "Oh man, I got to work. I don't want my room anymore," then they text Ashley at that 219 phone number, say, "We would really like to get rid of our room if at all possible." And then Ashley's going to go to the list of people that still want a room, and if such a list does exist, and get them to buy it. And if they buy it, then the person who's canceling their room would get store credit for how much their room costs. The tickets are like any YCP ticket. The tickets to the actual event are not going to be able to be canceled or transferred or anything like that. So glad you guys are answering questions. I really thought I would, or asking questions. I really thought I would just be sitting here the whole time, not doing anything. Ashley wants me to repeat the question. Ashley, the question is, and this comes from Neil: if you buy just tickets now and there are rooms left later, can you upgrade to a room, or would you have to buy the whole room package? So I'll let Ashley answer that, and then I'll speak her answer out loud. Jaron, check in on Friday is 4 p.m. We as staff cannot access the hotel until 3, and we need a little bit of time to get situated. So people are always really excited, and I know the last hotel party that I was at, check-in was at 3 and people were coming in at like 2:45. Um, and I'm so glad that people are excited and everybody wants to be able to set up their room and then take a nap. And that's exactly what I would want to do as well. But it just puts way too much pressure on staff. If we can't show up until 3, we need a little bit of time. Um, for example, we're going to put things in all of the hotel rooms. We're going to go ahead and put the trash bags and the tips and stuff like that in every one of the rooms already. And even if we don't do that, we have to tape them up on all of the doors. Ashley has to get the keys from the staff and get those situated, and that's probably going to take her at least an hour. Registration desk has to be set up. All of that kind of stuff takes some time. So 4 o'clock. It's a really good question. Thank you. This is my Full House souvenir shirt that I bought at their concert the other day. They play a lot of Britney. Some of you will be very happy to know that. Thank you. Haven't heard back yet from Ashley on the question. Hopefully we do really soon. Of course, she's trying to get the site ready for the noon sale. Jaron, the glory hole. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be there. We just have to find the right place to put it, because the anonymous factor is really the point of the glory hole. And if you just like a hallway of the hotel is like a perfect place to put it. Well, if you just put it in a hallway, first of all, we don't want any nudity or play happening in public areas of the hotel. So not in the hallways, and conference room doesn't have any cameras, so it's absolutely fine. The GM's not going to be coming in there. That's why it's a giant playroom. Of course, your rooms are totally private, no cameras, but we wouldn't want to do something in the hallway. But also, it needs to be somewhere where people can get in it and out of it without really seeing who's on the outside or vice versa. And that's kind of hard to do, honestly. It would be great if it was like you could go upstairs and down a secret hallway, and then you're in the glory hole. You have no idea who's going to put their dick through or whatever. That would be like ideal, but that's kind of hard to figure out sometimes. Just like at the clubhouse, I don't really like where we put it at the clubhouse. I wish it was upstairs, but there's really not room for it up there, and there's no like perfect place. I really wish, like I said, I really wish that people had to go down like a secret hallway or something to get to it. I think that would be really cool. Because, like, in porn and stuff, you see them in like adult bookstores, and it's somebody in a totally different room. You would have no idea who they are. And we've not really been able to replicate that. Good question, though. Will hotel staff be on property the entire time? If yes, how do we know we can trust them? That's a very good question. The only staff person that's going to be there is the general manager. And that general manager, I think it's okay to say, has some lifestyle experience. So he totally gets the discretion factor. Um, Nobody else is going to be there. So, one of the reasons why we can't sell a Saturday or Friday room, and then that couple leaves, another couple comes in for Saturday. Nobody's there to clean the rooms. Nobody's there really to do much of anything except make breakfast and be there in case of an emergency. It's part of what we do is we find hotels that will only allow one staff member to be there the entire weekend. And like housekeeping and all of these people don't know that that's a lifestyle party happening at all, because the more people who know about it, people are bound to talk about it. And that's one of the reasons why, anything you put on your door, for example, is going to have to be down by probably 5 o'clock on Sunday morning, because those housekeeping staff show up really early. Same thing with the playrooms. So on Saturday night, or Sunday morning rather, when the party shuts down at 2, I'm going to be taking those 8 beds out of the conference room and out to the cargo trailer, because it all has to look like just a regular hotel on Sunday morning early. And when all of you are checking out on Sunday morning, there are going to be other staff there ready to clean your room. But during Friday night and Saturday night, just the general manager is going to be there. He's also going to read and sign an NDA. But other than that, other than him being by himself, having some lifestyle experience, and reading and signing an NDA, it's like any other situation in the lifestyle. You just kind of have to take a little bit of a leap of faith to a certain extent. The biggest concern of security with a hotel takeover. Yeah, there'll be towels in every. So we had a question. Sorry, I'm reading the questions now. There'll be towels in every room, and Carlos, I'm going to be working the party as well. So Carlos and I, we're going to put out some extra towels and things like that, so people can kind of clean up their own room if they want to. There's just not going to be housekeeping staff there. But the biggest risk of a hotel party. This chair is really squeaky. I'm going to change chairs real quick. Sorry about that. Sorry. The biggest risk are people talking. So 20 YCP couples go to breakfast down the road or something like that, or what have you. It's natural to talk about the party that happened the night before. And same thing with going to dinner. You can imagine on Saturday, there's going to be a lot of people partying and drinking and stuff at the pool party. And then all of those folks are probably going to go to dinner somewhere. And, it's hard to control your voices when you've been drinking. I know that better than anybody firsthand from just myself. My discretion is certainly not completely intact whenever I've been drinking, for sure. And I think that's true of almost everybody. So it's pretty easy for somebody to say something that makes it quite clear there's a giant swinger party happening in town. And while COVID is basically over at this point, might be making a comeback, who knows? A lot of my paranoia comes from the time of COVID when, we really did have reporters posing as couples and trying to join and doing things like this, because that was a pretty fucking juicy story, swingers during COVID. Even when we were completely shut down, it was just a nightmare. And so a lot of that pressure is off. And we're having a hotel party in the heart of the suburbs where there are pretty regular, not at that hotel, but in the suburbs, in the heart of the suburbs of Chicago altogether, there are swinger hotel takeovers all the time. And so it's probably not that juicy of a story, but that's the biggest risk, is somebody just talking about it. I remember talking about it, not so much the staff. Good questions. Yeah, Neil, it's very kind of you. If I don't know your budget by any means, but you may want to just grab a room if you think you might want one. They might not sell it at all, so you're trying to be very kind to other people, and I appreciate that. But if you want a room, get a room, even if you live right across the street. All right, I'll just sit here and wait for some more questions. I never heard back from Ashley. So Ashley, oh, she did. She wrote, if there are rooms left or if you want on the room wait list after buying party tickets, I can arrange this. So it sounds like she agrees with me that if you buy just the tickets now, but later there is a room available, she will sell you just the room. Do you have any advice for first timers? Well, Greg, is this your first hotel party or your first YCP party? Let me ask you that first. Hotel party. Okay. Well, they're dramatically different events, first of all. I mean, they are night and day. So it's sort of like Sexy Sunny Saturday and the Friday parties. Those are so different. You wouldn't think that they're related at all. And it's just a different vibe. And the hotel is like that as well. So let me just explain how it's different, and then maybe we can get into some advice. So, first thing first, it's going to be much busier. So 115 hotel rooms, that's probably something like, 200, and let's just say 200, because some of those people are going to be single women. So that's at least 200 people right there who are just staying in the hotel each night. And then there are 100 couple tickets available as well. So there's probably going to be at least 300 people each night at that hotel party. So it's significantly larger than the Friday night party, significantly larger, and a lot different vibe. So on Friday night, there's going to be a full-fledged rock concert, which is going to be obviously nothing that you've ever seen on Friday night. This will be our first hotel party, personally, second event. Okay. So just a different vibe altogether. Advice would be, it's going to be a little different than a Friday night party because there's not going to be speed dating. So that rock concert, although really amazing, and believe me, none of you who watch that will say, oh, I wish we'd done speed dating instead. But I'm just making the point that there's not going to be speed dating. And the other thing about the hotel party is it's really easy to meet people because all these doors are going to be open and you can just walk in their room and you can, you're going to naturally talk about their decorations. Like some people are going to have their room decorated like a casino, somebody else like a zoo, somebody else like a frat house. Like I'm just making these themes up, boom, boom, boom. But there's going to be like, 30 rooms that are all decked out with their doors open. Really a natural way to start a conversation. You somebody's room, they have a theme. Of course, you start talking about that. It's super easy to meet people. In fact, easier to meet people, from that perspective. But it does require you to walk into people's rooms and walk up and down the hallway and kind of, meet people that way. And there are certainly times when, although there's going to be 3 times as many people there, maybe 4 times as many people there as there is at a Friday night YCP party, there are going to be times when it seems like there's almost nobody there because the hallways might feel kind of empty. People are in rooms. Some of those room doors will shut, especially by 11 o'clock or something. People are either having like a private party or they're having sex or whatever. And so there's definitely going to be times when it feels a little bit dead. And so that's one of the things that we're hoping to address with this big play area. And I'll just go ahead and tell you a little bit about it, I suppose. So it's a conference center of the hotel. And this isn't a huge hotel, but this is actually, you can write the dimensions on the screen. I don't remember what they were, but it's a decent sized conference area. And it's going to be really well lit and it's going to be staffed. And one of the things, and there's going to be 8 beds in there and great lighting and all this kind of stuff. And so you're going to walk into a room. And there, the rule is going to be that you either need to be in lingerie, nude, or underwear or towel, something like that. You can't walk in there dressed. And you're walking in there to participate in some way. Now, that doesn't mean, for goodness sakes, that Bill and Cindy are a married couple having sex on this bed and rule is, everyone has to participate. So here we are, Bill and, Cindy or Sandy, whatever I said. Consent rules and everything like that apply. But what it means is you can't just walk in there fully clothed and yell about how your tacos were at dinner or something like that. It's one of the things that we have at YCP is sometimes there are, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody. Some of us have been to that party 100 times. And we're really comfortable. Like all the things that are titillating and new and exciting to other people are no longer to us. Sorry about hitting the mic there. So it's super easy to just get involved in a vanilla conversation right in front of people having sex. And so we're really hoping to avoid that this time. And so those playrooms can be a good place to kind of hang out while you're being intimate with each other and maybe make a connection there as well. So advice would be, I rambled there for a very long time, and I'm sorry about that. Advice would be check out people's rooms. If the door's open, walk in. That's what an open door means. If you wait for somebody to invite you in, I think it's going to be a long night for you. So do that. And keep moving around and checking out the playroom as well. That's going to be a great place to meet people. Will YCP be providing the door stops? No, we won't. I mean, we'll have door stops for our playrooms, but not for everybody else's. No. And when you get door stops, it's a really good question. I would get some heavy duty ones because hotel doors have that giant spring. It's different than like a residential bedroom door. Obviously, there's a giant spring on it. It's a big heavy door, so you're going to want to get a pretty heavy duty one. That's a really good question. Thank you. These parties are bring your own everything. So we don't have snacks, mixers, ice, water, alcohol, anything. There are places for you to bring your own stuff, but you should, for those of you that don't have a room, you should really, bring a cooler. We'll have plenty of room for your coolers, but you should bring a cooler really with all of the stuff that you can see. Is the pool open outside the specific pool party? Yeah, yes, it is. So on Friday night, if you want to go jump in the pool, that's totally up to you. But the pool party itself on Saturday is only open to those who have a ticket for both days. So a Saturday ticket, if you buy one on the site, is just for Saturday night. not for the pool party. The pool party is sort of an extra thing for people who have invested in both nights. I'm really glad I did this. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I thought I was just going to be staring at myself here. It's a good question. You know, going back to the how can you trust the hotel staff thing, gosh, we do things a lot differently than everybody else. I've been to hotel takeovers all over the place, and every one of them I've ever been to, except for ours, had a completely staffed hotel. So they'll have, you know, bartenders working the bar. They'll have, excuse me, 2 or 3 people at the registration desk. They'll have the full housekeeping crew there, the maintenance crew. You know, an Embassy Suites, for example, might have 20 different people on staff around the clock, maybe more than that. All of those people are for sure going to know that's a giant swinger party. And I am less risk averse than other people, and that's probably because I care a lot about your guys' discretion. You know, we could just say, okay, this is a hotel party, and if you're worried about being outed, don't go. But we really do our best to mitigate risk as much as possible, and I just don't think we need that many staff there. I think one person in the building is plenty. Yeah, my pleasure, Neil. Thank you. He said thank you for spending my time answering questions. It's certainly my pleasure. I have nothing better I'd rather be doing right now. And no matter what you spend, $69 or $79 or $89 or $99 or $500, essentially, if you're getting a room, I want you guys to know what's going on. And this is the first time for us. We've not sold the rooms before. Yeah, Kitty and Puppy Love asked the question. I walked in towards the end of the conversation where you were discussing the clothing rules before entering certain rooms. The only room that is the big giant playroom in the conference center, and there it's a fairly large conference center with a dividing wall in the middle that you can slide open or slide shut. It's going to be slid 95% of the way shut. You'll walk in through this side of the conference room, and then somebody will be staffing the playroom, essentially. It'd probably be me. Who knows? It'll be somebody. And the rule there is that if you want to enter that playroom with 8 beds, you need to be participating in a couple of different ways. And one of them is with your clothing. So like me as a man, if I'm wearing like a suit, which I often wear a suit to parties. So if I was wearing a suit, I would have to take that whole suit off and then either be naked or wearing underwear. If I had lingerie on underneath, then I could be down to lingerie, or a woman could be down to bra and panties, but just not fully clothed. And the reason is because that is essentially a giant orgy room. So like the playrooms at YCP, you have hallways and you have things where it's totally appropriate for a fully clothed person to just kind of hang out. This is a playroom. And what we don't want are a bunch of fully clothed people who aren't really participating, having drinks and laughing about, like the consent video says, how the Cubs are going to do this year. We want to create a sexy environment where people are in there to participate. And that doesn't have anything to do with the consent rules. You can go in there and just have sex with each other or that sort of thing. I don't mean it's a free-for-all in there, but I do mean that people need to have a certain level of investment in the situation. And so for that one room in particular, they need to be disrobed in some way so that they're invested may not be the right word, but I think everybody understands, what I'm talking about. But that's the only room where that is, and there's other playrooms. There's 4 other playrooms, so should be pretty easy to avoid if that's not really your thing. All right. Well, if you have any other questions, now's probably the time to answer them. Otherwise, I got to jump off in a minute and start tinkering with the back end of the website to get this thing ready to go. This worked out better than I thought. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this is Full House. Those guys have had a total glow up. When we first hired them, probably like 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Well, first of all, they cost like a third of what they do now, and and they didn't have really much equipment or anything like that. They certainly weren't selling shirts and that kind of thing. Now those guys have a tour bus, a fucking tour bus. And like I said, they cost 3 times as much. They have this super elaborate, giant video screen. I don't know if they'll be able to do that at our hotel because our space is really small. I mean, the ceilings are 8 feet, and this video screen looked like it was 12 feet high or something. So I don't know what they'll be able to do in our hotel, but man alive, those guys have really been successful. And I'm so happy that they survived COVID because, I know for like a year and a half, they didn't play anything. So bless them for staying together and sticking at it, and well-deserved success because they are a really, really fun band for sure. I'll check the questions one more time, and then I will jump off here. What are the odds the site crashes at noon? Well, I don't think so. It didn't crash the last couple, so that's good. I don't think it's going to crash, but we'll see. I have turned the everything up on it quite a bit, and we've come nowhere close to reaching the limit. So the site crashes that we've had recently have been because of various plugins on the site updating and doing weird things, like the PayPal credit card gateway fucked up a couple of times and ended a bunch of people's subscriptions. And the only way to really fix that was to go to the last backup of the site, which caused us to lose like some direct messaging and anything that people posted over the past few hours and stuff like that. But as far as storage on the site and RAM and all of that sort of stuff, I mean, we're probably paying $700 a month in server fees. We have an unbelievable amount of pictures stored on this site. There really should be a way of purging those. The only way they get purged is when somebody cancels. And this site is also really, really, really active. And then I have went above and beyond. So on any given day, we're probably using about a third of our capacity. And so I think even today, with us having a big run at noon, I don't think it's going to crash, but we'll find out. I will refresh this one more time, and then I will jump off here. 20 people watching. Thank you for that. Saturday pool party access. Okay, very good question. If you have a hotel room, the hotel rooms come with a Friday ticket and a Saturday ticket. So you're covered. You could then come to the Saturday pool party. If you don't have a hotel room, then you can either buy a Friday night ticket and come to just Friday night, or you can just a Saturday ticket and come to just Saturday night. But if you want to come to that Saturday afternoon pool party, then you need to be ticketed to both events. And to do that, you either get a hotel room or you just buy a Friday ticket and a Saturday ticket. So the Saturday ticket alone does not get anyone into that pool party. Have to be ticketed for both nights. And lots of reasons for that. One is there's really no way to fairly price the Saturday ticket if some people are coming to basically 2 parties that day and others are only going to 1. We also have to staff the check-in starting at probably noon on Saturday all the way up until, I guess, 10:30 at night, which costs a lot of money. And so we wanted to make that up by having the people who come to that Saturday party have tickets to both events. Yeah, I suppose. The other thing is, the pool isn't that big. And so, quite frankly, we can't fit 400 or 500 people in there at all the same time. So we think it's going to be over full, and we think it's going to be really hot. And if you love a good party like I do, then it's going to be perfect. So, all right, I'll check this one more time. I'm really easily distracted, and I'm trying to look at the comments on two things. So you use the event tab on the page to purchase. That's exactly right, and they're gonna all be online at noon. Yep. Yeah, Greg. Same question. You go to events. It's going to be the same as everything else. Yep, that's exactly right. More people joining us all the time. Maybe I'll just stay on for a few more minutes. I really appreciate all of you guys. This is really cool. We started YCP 8 years ago, and I think there were 14 or 15 couples at that first event, and we didn't know any of them. We were just inviting everybody we could find on swinger dating sites who were, the correct ages. And it's grown and grown and grown. We never expected it to become a business. It was just, I was really into partying at the time, and it was just really fun, and really a way to help other clubs in the area, because my wife and I were both in our 30s at the time. She just had her 40th birthday yesterday, by the way. So if you see her, you might want to tell her happy birthday. But anyway, we would see, and everybody at these clubs were older than us, way older than us. Like the average age, they say the average age is 40, but it's probably more like 55 or something, which is totally fine. And we were having a great time, a fantastic time. But we would see a young couple walk in that's like 25 years old and kind of look around and be like, because not that they think old people are gross. It's just, you're already scared to death. So if you're scared to death and then you walk into a room and literally no one looks like you, that's a little bit too much for most people. And so they would just leave. And we realized that this age disparity was never going to change without somebody doing something about it. And if you look at the age statistics of Cook County, Illinois, there's over twice as many people in their 20s and 30s as there are in their 40s and 50s. Over twice as many. I mean, you can see that walking around Chicago. It's a very young city. And so if everybody felt comfortable going to these swinger clubs, then that's exactly what you would see. You would see mostly people in their 20s and 30s, and half that many people in their 40s and 50s. But that wasn't true at all. Everybody was in their 40s or 50s or 60s. And so it was obvious that young people didn't feel comfortable. And so we started YCP to kind of help the other clubs. Now, over time, it's really grown. I never imagined it would grow to the point that we could invest probably 40 grand into a hotel party and assume that we're going to recoup that cost. So this is really kind of cool and exciting. And I really appreciate you guys, so much, because it is awfully risky. But I feel confident that all of you are going to love it and have a great time. So I'm just checking the comments here, making sure I'm not leaving anybody. There's still a lot of people watching. I kind of hate to turn it off. So surely some more questions out there. I think this is one of those situations where the people with the questions, they're not on the site as much, which I totally get. My wife and I are going to a party in Las Vegas here in a couple of weeks. I've not been on their forum, on their group, not a single time. I'm not going to spend a single second doing it. So if there's discussions about that event or whatever, I'm never going to know about them. So I totally get it. But at the same time, right, like those are the people who have questions. Those are the people that don't know what's going on, and they're not on this feed probably. So all right. Well, it's got to be another good question out there. Oh, Bonnie and Clyde. I don't think the site's going to crash. I don't think so. We have an abundance of power with the server. We pay way over what we need to every month. So on any given day, we use about maybe a third of the capacity ongoing. So shouldn't be a problem, but I guess we'll find out. Missed the part about the glory hole. I'm going to try to have the glory hole there. We just have to find the appropriate place for it. It can't be in the hallway because that's a public place and we don't want any nudity or playing happening in public places. That was one of the lessons that we learned at one of the early on hotel parties. Is the woman who was the general manager was really quite offended about basically being forced to watch a sex show because it happened in the lobby. And while people agree to help us by hosting our swinger event, and obviously we're paying them, but I don't want to have people subjected to things that they just don't want to see. And so it can't happen in a public place. So we'll probably try to put the glory hole somewhere. Don't buy your ticket based upon the glory hole. I can't imagine anybody would do that anyway, because if we can't find a good place for it, then it just won't be there. But I think it's really fun personally, and it'll try to be there. $69 versus $99 tickets. What is the main difference? They're priced in tiers. We want everybody to buy their ticket early. And so they're priced in tiers. The first 30 tickets are $69. The second 30 tickets are, go up from there, $79 and then $89 and then $99. So we just want people to buy early for a couple reasons, which are probably fairly obvious. But when the site is blowing up today with ticket, that makes other people go, holy shit, we need to get on board this thing or it's going to sell out. If all the tickets are the same price, and if there's like an infinite number of tickets, then everybody would wait until like the day before the party to buy a ticket, wouldn't there? There would be no reason to buy a ticket right away. If the price never goes up and if they never run out, there's absolutely no reason to buy a ticket today. The smarter thing to do would be to buy a ticket the day of the event or the day before the event. And ultimately, that would result in selling a lot fewer tickets. And people often think, oh, Robert's just about the money. I don't really care about the money at all. My responsibility, I have a lot of responsibilities, but one of them, quite frankly, is that there's enough people at this party that you guys find friends and people that you find attractive and that it feels like a party, right? I mean, like, believe me, I've had parties with 7 or 8 couples before, and it's no kind of party at all. And so we try to do things that get people to buy now and commit now and clear their schedule and find a babysitter and that sort of thing. Yeah, there'll be a DJ. I don't know exactly who that's going to be yet. It'll either be me or somebody else. We've hired DJs in the past, and everybody seems to always complain. Like we used to have parties in Des Moines, Iowa, and I hired literally everyone agreed the hottest EDM DJ in Des Moines, and everybody bitched nonstop. And I think that's because when you hire a DJ, instead of somebody thinking to themselves, this song sucks, they think this DJ sucks. And people don't do that to me because they know I'm not a real DJ. I mean, my name is DJ Dick Pill. I basically have a playlist going, hit the air horn a few times. I'm just having fun. I'm not like a serious, DJ trying to put in drops and stuff like that. So people are kind to me. But believe me, we drop $1,000 on a DJ, and in my experience, complaints just go up. And also, generally speaking, people at swinger parties like to hear songs that they know really, really well, and not so much brand new stuff that some people aren't familiar with. Okay. Craig knows because he's a DJ. Okay, I didn't know that, Craig. Well, believe me, I don't consider myself to be a DJ, but I've hired enough DJs to know that, goddamn, they can be polarizing. Is the security local law enforcement? So, site is giving an error already. Okay, well, I'm going to jump off here then. Shoot me a DM with that law enforcement question. I want to answer it. It's certainly not a secret, but it's time to go. I don't want to cause extra stress on the site. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.